My team and I just earned $14,000 on a deal that we just closed out in Eureka, California. And in this video, I'm going to show you how we came across that deal, how we disposed of it, and the lessons that we learned along the way. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right on into it. All right, so we've got the property right here. It was out in Eureka, California. Like I said, nice little quaint little property. It was a 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,287 square feet. Nothing too special. A little bit outdated, as you can see from the pictures right here. And Eureka, California is a pretty rural area. It was more than 45 minutes away from the closest major metro. So at first, initially, we're kind of thinking about just passing on this deal, but we decided to take it on. Specifically because we got the property under contract at $325,000, and the sellers had just recently gotten an appraisal for $425,000. So we felt pretty confident that we can get this thing done. So let's talk about how we got this property under contract. We actually went over here to my favorite place, guys. Good old iSpeed to Lead. We went to iSpeed to Lead, and we went on ahead and purchased that lead. Now, we do have the coupon club and things of that nature. However, I believe that this was actually like a hot lead, if I'm not mistaken. A hot lead is a property that has come in recently that no one has purchased as of yet. So like on iSpeed to Lead, it says this lead is fresh and hasn't been claimed by anybody. Pick it up and get exclusivity for 1 hour or upgrade to have 48 hours of exclusivity with this lead. All right. So with those types of leads, with this particular lead, we bought it exclusively. So no one else had access to this lead. Thank God it actually paid off for us. Sometimes you may buy an exclusive lead and maybe they don't answer, or maybe something else has happened. They don't want to sell anymore, or some BS like that or whatever. So we actually hit a pretty decent home run with this. I do recommend check out iSpeed to Lead for yourself. Y'all been hearing me talk about it a lot. If you've been keeping up with the channel, iSpeed to Lead has literally an entire marketplace that you see right here, and you can just simply buy leads. Like I said in my last video, I'll maybe pop up a card or something like that. I kind of walk through exactly how we go about using iSpeed to Lead. So definitely check out that video. But yeah, you can get leads for the low and go ahead, get out here and just start talking to people that actually want to sell. That's exactly what we did on this deal. We purchased that lead on October 20th is when we actually purchased the lead. A few days later, I think we ended up buying it on maybe like a Thursday or Friday. Ultimately, we ended up putting it under contract like a few days later, like the following Monday or Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. We went on ahead and decided that instead of trying to sell this property off market, we're going to go ahead and try to sell this property on market. In all of our contracts, we have the ability to place the property on the market. So we have like a clause inside of the contract that states that we can market the property online or whatever. Typically, that's all that your title agents or real estate agent is going to need to actually be able to process this transaction. Let's put it like that, if the property is going to be on the market. When we got our first agent, that agent, he didn't work for us the way that we wanted him to or whatever. Like, we wanted to get the property onto the market immediately, and he decided to just hold on to it and show it to his like pocket buyers, if you will. So he had some buyers. He had like 3 or 4 people go over to the property. Some of them were interested in stuff like that or whatever, but none of them actually pulled the trigger on the property. We ended up reaching out to this agent like, hey man, like, are you going to list the property? We ended up literally threatening to like get his license taken away and stuff like that or whatever, because he wasn't working for us properly. Like, he's supposed to have this property listed on the MLS within 48 hours of us signing the contract. We have to like bust out the California realtors like rules and obligations that these people have to us or whatever, because he wasn't moving fast enough. So long story short, we ended up getting rid of our initial agent that we had, and we ended up getting a whole nother agent. Shout out to Barb, man. She ended up getting the job done for us. So we ended up getting us a new agent named Barbara. She actually did list the property for us. And when do we list this property? We listed it ultimately like a few days before Christmas, y'all. So this is like late December. And remember, we put this property under contract in late October. It took 2 months to actually get the property listed online. It was so much stuff that needed to get done. Like, the agent needed to see the preliminary title report. We had to bust out like trust documents from the seller. They had to resend the trust documents. It was like a long process, a lot of stuff that we had to do. But ultimately, we ended up listing the property in December of last year for $420,000. Now, remember, we got this property under contract for $325,000. That's almost $100,000 spread. Well, Ed, why are you being so greedy? Well, it wasn't our idea, actually. Like the 420 price point was actually a number suggested from the agent. She felt pretty confident that she can get this thing done at 420 in a short period of time. As you can see, we ultimately end up having to lower the price. About a few weeks later, we end up lowering the price down to $379,000, which is ultimately the price that we ended up selling the property for. Once we changed the price, things started moving really, really fast. Once we lowered that price, now it was within like a realistic price range for most people in that market. And also this property had some issue with it because it had like standing water below the property or something like that or whatever. So it deterred several people from wanting to buy it once they got a chance to check it out. However, so we kind of just baked in a massive discount. Like I said, this property was already appraised for $425,000, but we were trying to sell it during the wet season out here in California. Well, out there in California, but it was super wet. It was ultra rainy like every single day. So it was hard to get people up in there. And then we had that standing water situation. So it was kind of like a shit show trying to get this thing done, to be honest. But like I said, once we lowered that price down to $379,000, things started moving really, really quickly. And we ended up getting several people headed over to the property in like no time. It was like over the course of a weekend, we maybe had like 8 people go check out the property or whatever. One of those 8 people were the people that made a full price offer at $379,000. And ultimately, we ended up closing that property with them. We did put a couple stipulations on it, though, because our contract was basically expired. We did end up getting an extension from our seller, but we did tell the end buyer that, hey, look, you got to pay full price and you've got 2 weeks to close on this thing. And they agreed. So lo and behold, we ended up getting the property sold. But this thing took a while. We contracted it October 23rd, I think is the day that we actually got the property under contract. We bought it on October 20th from iSpeed Delete. We put it onto the market like 2 months later. That took a long time. And then ultimately, like a little bit less than 2 months after we put it onto the market, it was actually sold, maybe around like 45 days or so. So that wasn't like horrible. It could have been worse, but that's something that you have to consider when you're doing these novation deals, is that they can take some time, especially if you don't have pics, if you don't have videos, if you don't have access to the property, et cetera, et cetera. There's a lot of different factors that go into doing novation deals, and they're not necessarily the most ideal deals that we're looking for. Let's put it like that. We want something that we can get in and out as quickly as possible. That cash conversion cycle, you want it to be as tight as possible, preferably like 30 days or so, right? So this one took like literally like 120 days to close. So keep that in mind if you're going to be doing novation deals, that this thing can get dragged out. Now, you can also use companies like brokerlist.com to save a little bit of money and things of that nature. However, if you're going to go with brokerlist, then you need to have pictures and access of the property. So kind of keep that in mind. So like I said, we ended up earning around $14,000 on this property. However, we did learn some lessons, like it ended up costing a lot to close on to this property, whatever, right? So we had it under contract for $325,000. We sold it for $379,000. So technically, it's like a $54,000 spread. Sounds like a lot, right? But then our agents, the agent fee on this was 6%. So boom, that gave the agents like $22,000 of that money. Then we also double closed on the property, and doubleclose.com, which is the go-to company that we use to double close on these deals. In California, they charge 2%, not just 1%. So we end up paying them like $6,000 something or whatever to close on the property as well. So boom, that's just taking off like $30,000. Then we also had to pay, title fees, just normal customary costs and stuff like that. So like I said, like this thing got bust down really, really hard. The agents made more money than us on the deal and whatnot. Sometimes that's a sacrifice that you have to put up with. Sometimes you're going to be able to negotiate. Maybe you negotiate with the agent, like, hey, look, can you do 5%? Can you do 4%? Things like that or whatever. So keep in mind, everything is negotiable in real estate. That's the beauty of it. You can even negotiate title fees and stuff like that or whatever if you're really about that life. So this deal ended up getting buzzed down a lot, though. And I want y'all to keep that in mind as well, especially when you're going to be in states like California. California it adds a lot of extra stuff around actually trying to sell these properties. It can be pretty burdensome, to be honest with you, or cumbersome. Trying to sell properties out in California, it could be a headache. So the double close costs were double. We had to pay, agent fees, title fees. There's just so many different things that kind of came out of our pocket. So just want y'all to understand that does happen. So we ended up with $14,000, and it took 4 months to do it. But that's why I went to do this deal breakdown or whatever, because this is maybe something that you don't hear all the time. A lot of these novations could take months. Like we had another one in Chicago or whatever some months back and whatnot. That one maybe took like 3 months total or something like that or whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on these deals. So you have to be patient sometimes. And if you're going to be doing novations, please, God, do yourself a favor. Don't make novations your only thing that you're doing. It can maybe be your bread and butter, but if it is, you need several opportunities at the same time. You don't want to just be putting all of your eggs in a basket hoping that this one opportunity is actually going to close. That goes for any type of deal. Never put all of your eggs into one basket. You want to give yourself as many options as possible when it comes to opportunities to make money. So this wasn't our only deal in the pipeline, thank God, but it did take 4 months to close. During the time that we was waiting on this one to close, we closed several other deals while we were waiting on this one to close or whatever. So kind of keep that in mind. These deals can drag out. Anyway, though, guys, that's basically just about it. So we essentially purchased the lead from iSpeed to Lead, good old iSpeed to Lead. Make sure that you use code Wholesale Coach if you go check out iSpeed to Lead. They're going to give you $25 for absolutely free, or just use the link in the description of this video. But so we purchased it from iSpeed to Lead. Our dispo strategy was novation. We ended up going with an actual agent, not like a brokerless type of company, because we didn't have pictures of the property. So we paid 6% for our agent costs. We had to pay 2% on our double close fees. And ultimately, we end up earning around $14,000. This property was one that was in a trust. So it was like a trust scenario. The seller was actually like a very, very elderly lady that I think like basically the sellers wanted to sell the property so their loved one, their mother, could essentially live out the rest of her days like at the nursing home or something like that or whatever. And the property was in a trust or whatever. So just some different little things to deal with and stuff like that or whatever. Nothing too crazy. It's a pretty straightforward transaction for the most part. We did have to get a couple extensions from the seller, thank God, because they didn't have to extend. And we could have spent, 3 months and then not end up getting anything, even though we were right there at the door. Thankfully, they were willing to hold on with us. And long story short, we ended up getting it done, man. But like I said, this is just one of many or whatever. This is not the only thing that we had going on or whatever. So kind of keep that in mind. Do yourself a favor as well. If you're going to be doing novations, sometimes they can drag out. But I'm curious, what do y'all think about this? Have y'all done novations? Have you done really quick novations? Have they taken a long time? What's your experience been with listing properties on the market? I'm very curious to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment box down below. And this is also something that I'm considering doing more often, like more of these deal breakdowns and stuff like that. If you all think that would be helpful, if it kind of helps you get a sense of like how these deals actually work, what the business looks like and things of that nature or whatever, drop me a comment and let me know if you want me to make more videos like this. And if you want to see other videos where I'm literally out here running my wholesale business and you can watch me do that along the way, the trials, the tribulations, the ups and downs, check out this playlist right here. I've got some videos compiled for you so you can see me do exactly that. And until next time, guys, we are out.